everybody. Welcome to ICC's Game of the Week with your host, as always, Joel Benjamin. Just weeks after the instant classic by Wei Yi, we have another game so striking that it will likely be remembered for a long time. But for opposite reasons. The game Navara-Wojtaszek from Biel featured not a king hunt, but an audacious king march, all the way to h8. The surprisingly rapid rate of play by Navara indicates that he was still in his home preparation for a long way. A remarkably deep and bold discovery, to be sure, but beyond the spirit of adventure, one has to wonder, why? The risk, of course, is obvious, but in addition, Wojtaszek had several opportunities to more or less equalize. Well, it takes two to tango, and the Polish number one has to be equally commended, as he seemed just as determined as Navara to win this game. Unfortunately, he got the rook ending all wrong. If the other player had messed up, we might find Navara's play to be a bit crazy, and not like a fox. Now, the game was understandably full of mistakes with so many difficult decisions to make, but the weirdness factor makes it one of the most interesting games I have had the opportunity to present in this forum. Okay, let's get to it. Navara playing white, and it's going to be a Sicilian, and it's going to be a Najdorf. Wojtaszek is a big expert in this opening. And now we have a bit of a specialty of Navara, the move h3. Usually, this opening is played with the move f3, the so-called English attack with ideas of queen d2 and castling, and g4. But this is a relatively new idea, new in popularity anyway, to support g4 with h3, maybe a little bit inspired by the fact that h3 on move 6 has become so popular. And with the h-pawn supporting the g4 square, white is often going to play f4. Now, after the move bishop e7, that's precisely the move that Navara tried in his match against Wesley So, f4. And there, black is certainly advised to capture, because otherwise white will push f5 and get a nice phalanx of pawns going. But Navara presumably was not satisfied with what he got there, so he tried g4. Now, black, of course, can just play a typical developing move and allow white to push the knight back with g5. But certainly, a huge question in this position is, why not d5? Normally, with the pawn on f3, white will just make some exchange in the center and castle and try to use the d-file. But here, he's a bit weakened by the move g4. So he takes and he plays bishop g2. Obviously, a trade on d5. Black gets a nice tempo on the rook. So white takes advantage of this open diagonal. Good news. But the bad news is he has to give up his dark squared bishop, which is a piece highly favored in this opening. So white sensibly trades queens as his king is about to be forced to move. And now a bit of an uncomfortable check, as king e2 is met by bishop c4, so the king slides into the corner. So black gets developed there. But now white puts the question to the bishop, and the bishop doesn't want to retreat to e6, allowing white to double the pawns and occupy the e4 square. But black has the resource here, bishop g5. And it seems like the game might end in a repetition. Rook e1, bishop h4, chasing the rook away, and then going back to g5. But with the move rook b1, it's not exactly a repetition. White gains from having the rook on b1, because in the tactics that follow, after a capture on c4, the rook becomes active on the b file. So that's an important factor.